for the comments and revisions that we had told the board we would make and come back to present. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions with regards to the revisions that we now propose before this board for consideration.
I think Dean is having a having a hard time hearing this. I think I just heard him say that.
Yeah.
And now I don't see him.
Okay, well, we can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you listened to the revision that we asked about and followed through. And I like the look of this. This is good. I love that the front entrance now goes right to the original building.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to follow with what Bethany said. I agree with her. I actually thought that you were going to then continue the walk around for the second entrance, the newer entrance. But this is nice. It's simple. It's clean, and I think elegant that way.
Thank you.
I have a question. I think all the things you did are really good. I'm really pleased. My only question is that earlier today I was looking at the file, and in some of the views, the new building looked as though it was way taller than the old building, and in some views they look as though they're the same height. Do you know how high they are?
There's a difference of 5.5 feet in the ridge heights, and that the renderings are limited in how we can propose that. So depending on the angle that you look at the rendering changes that perspective, but there is approximately 5.5 feet in total height, but with the new addition being set back, visually that's reduced from the street.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So I missed a little bit of this. I had some problems here. I don't know how everyone feels about it, but I think they've reached a, I don't know, an aesthetic solution to this situation with the addition. I like it a lot. What was the consensus? I'm sorry, I missed everyone else.
So far, everybody has liked it.
We haven't heard from Zach.
Right.
Zachary, please.
Well, thank you. Very briefly, I think this application has gotten to where the board had been kind of pushing it, both in terms of the primary entrance to the house being preserved, minimizing the aesthetic of the addition to something that's less formal and imposing. I think it's answered all of the questions that you've had.
Yeah,
I think it's a good design.
We've circled back to the bungalow, and now it's like the primary visual here from the street. And they put the two windows back on the bungalow. I think it's nicely done.
I do too.
This was a tough design.
Yes.
Yep. I don't. With this house being on the property line, I think they did it phenomenally.
So Zach, just a question of information for me.
Yeah.
The ridgeline height is not, since this is a new and separate structure, that doesn't come into play because it has a different view, et cetera, et cetera. They're independent.
Well, I think mitigating, that's always a big issue. When you have a smallish structure like this and the addition comes right up to it and you see that rise of the ridgeline going toward the back, that tends to minimize the visual presence of the original building. By setting this addition far back and joining it with a lower connector, it basically separates that whole new structure to the side, and it doesn't have that impact. So I think, given the fact that they had this much land to work with, which is not the normal, oftentimes those choices are more difficult. Here, I think this satisfies that issue for you.
Well, thank you very much. I agree. Once again, I'll say I think it's very attractive.
Brian, what is the square footage of this?
Yeah, so I was trying to read my notes. In the aggregate with the existing and proposed, it does exceed 3,000. I was looking for my notes. I don't have the file in front of me here, but if we had a hearing We were also going to ask to come back separately for landscaping. So if we want to just clean everything up, we can do both at the next available meeting.
So we could vote on I guess, a public hearing, and then you would bring everything to that meeting?
Yeah, with the landscaping and otherwise. Yep.
Okay, and Carrie, when is the next public hearing?
So we could get that on the public notice and into the paper by tomorrow. So the next meeting would be January 14th, 2021.
Do I have a motion to set the public hearing for 32 Glover Street for January 14th, you said?
Yes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, 14 Cove Road, please.
That's also Brian.
Good evening, members of the board. Brian DeSessa, attorney for the applicant. If I could screen share again, please. Okay. We were here last week. The board asked for some sections with respect to how this sets up from the road and how it would look to adjoining properties. So the architect, Bruce Siska, who's also here this evening to answer any questions should the board have that. We did provide a detail of that with spot elevations of where the road is. And then again, an architectural drawing to specifications for the gates for the two open items. The total height, to answer Mr. Williams' question from last week, of the dwelling is 29 feet. So we did keep that, and the board indicated last time, under the total height and into the topography. I had spoken to the neighbor to the north at 12 Cove who had reviewed the plans and has no issue with it. I did not speak to anyone yet or hear back on the 10 Cove, which is the larger development, which is going down to the other side. But we did provide this to the board and did bring Mr. Siska here this evening, just so you could see how we're from the road and how that topography that Mr. Williams pointed out would work and how the house sits into that.
And where does the square footage, where are we with the square footage on this house?
The square footage on this house. Mr. Siska, can you give us the exact square footage, please?
Total square footage is 3,030.
Okay,
Does that include, are you going to maintain the garage?
That does include the garage, yes.
That was an affirmative answer, right?
It is an affirmative answer, Mr. Williams. Yes, because it's attached, it counts toward that total number.
Okay.
Judith, how do you feel about this design?
well, I think it's fine. It's fine.
Bethany,
Same.
Steve?
I'll abstain here.
Okay, so this is another one, I guess we could vote to, for a public hearing on January 14th. Is that right, Mr. Applicant?
It is, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. DeSessa, I will make that motion to set the public hearing for 14 Cove Road on January 14th. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
29 Cornell Road.
That's Brian also.
Good evening again, Brian DeSessa, 2462 Main Street, Suite 7. I promise you this is the last one for this evening. If I'll screen share. We were here last week. The board had minor comments with respect to this eastern addition, which was a one-story addition. We had decorative trim. We went back and rethought it. We got rid of all the railing up there, maintained the flat roof, did add a little bit of decorative molding here just for that area, but we did get rid of the railing. So it is not pertinent or present rather on any part of that one-story addition.
Judith, how do you feel about this design?
Well, it's funny because I was in favor of getting rid of the railing, and now without the railing, I wonder if it doesn't look a bit naked. But I think it's fine.
Steve, comments?
I think it's fine. I think with appropriate landscaping, it'll look dressed up, Judith.
Yeah.
Bob Adams is having technical problems, so too bad he's not here, but I'm just letting you know where he is. Bethany?
I like, you know, that the main house is there as it was, and then the two additions. I think it looks, I like it a lot.
Did Val come back? I missed him on 14 Cove.
No, I've been here.
Okay.
Oh, good boy.
Yeah.
Here he is.
Val, what are your comments regarding this project?
I like it. I like the removal of the rail system. So this looks nice and clean.
Yeah, it did not make sense as a mini rail up there.
Mhm.
So Mr. DeSessa, what is the square footage on this one?
Under 3,000, we do not need a public hearing.
Do I have a motion to approve 29 Cornell Road?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good holiday and a good
Yep.
year.
thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Very good.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
258 Main Street.
That's Anthony. I don't see him yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
he's
here.
on. Oh, hi,
There he
Anthony.
is.
Hi, how are you? Okay,
State your
so,
name, please.
Anthony Vermandois, 68 Union Street. All right, so we left off with the chimneys at the last meeting. You folks wanted to see the full elevations of the house with the chimneys, and that's on drawings A6 and A7.
Are you sharing your screen or?
I'm
is,
I'm getting it right now.
Gas binder.
Sorry, it's not letting me share. Just give me 1 minute.
I guess while we're waiting for that to come up, as far as the gas lantern goes, I think we're just going to put that on hold for now. I want to do a little more research on that and see if we can find, something that's really appropriate there. It's unlike the
What-
chimney. It's
What
not
number,
a-
Anthony, did you tell me?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's A6 and A7. Or it's actually 9A6 and 10A7.
Anthony,
We'll revisit the lanterns at a later point.
while you're talking about that, Bob Adams is an electrical engineer of some note. Have you thought about using an electric alternative that's a flicker light that looks like that, like a gas lamp?
Yeah, I mean that's might be a different route that we'll go on, maybe with the other house as well too. But just not ready to make the final call on that yet with the homeowners.
One of the comment is that it can prevent a fire hazard being that close to the house. In the other house, I think you're talking about a post lamp as an alternative also.
Right.
That might be
Carrie, can you zoom into the chimneys, please? Okay, Anthony, can you speak to this project?
Okay, sure. So you can see the front elevation there, and as we were talking about at the last meeting, the chimneys on the right, your right, are existing, but they're currently covered in stucco, and the chimneys on the left are no longer extant. We believe they originally existed because we can see the chimney butts for them in the house itself, but we don't, at some point they were taken down to roof level. So the proposal is to rebuild the chimneys on the right without stucco to look like as they did originally, and the ones on the left will also be rebuilt with the same detail as the original.
Brick.
So
We
the
talked
brick-
about white Portland cement. So we did actually have a sample made up of that. Carrie, if you have a chance, you can bring up the brick sample photo.
Carrie, can you expand the screen?
Yes, hold on one moment.
So Anthony, you're just matching the existing exactly, correct?
As closely as we can. One thing that I will say on the house itself is, you know, there's every kind of, you know, I mean, basically it's red brick, but there are a lot of different shades of the brick there, and also the mortar too. It's the color of the mortar tends to vary on the main house as well. Some of it's a little bit darker than that.
Do you
I
see
think
the
this-
brick now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So this photo, I mean, this was taken literally 15 minutes ago. We just got the sample made up, so it's kind of looks darker than it actually is, just because we were in the dark trying to get a photo. But that is the white Portland cement there.
Zach, can you just give us a couple of your thoughts on this?
Sure. Well, I think it's just important, as Anthony points out, over the years, the brick has aged, and you know, the various colors, etc. But I mean, if he makes an effort to either get old brick or brick that is varied as this is from this appearance, and uses a white mortar as opposed to a gray Portland, which you can see in the upper to the right, the appearance from the street will be that the chimneys match the house, and that's what you're looking for. So that looks fine to me.
Right, that's the idea, right, Anthony?
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Okay, Steve
I think literally the sample was just made, so I think the mortar hasn't fully dried yet.
It hasn't dried, right?
Yeah. So
Steve
on
Williams,
the
comments?
upper left there, I think is a little closer to what the color is going to be when it dries.
I think it's great. I think to Zach's point, using reclaimed brick will enhance the comparative look. But I think that's fine. Looks good.
Yeah. And this is the brick where we've got here that we've sourced. I mean, you can see
Okay.
it's kind of a variated.
No, that looks good.
Yeah.
That looks.
Yeah. This is, I mean, that's what we're planning on using. So.
Now, I don't remember what it said on the plan, but what is that?
I don't know what the specific spec of the brick is. I'm not even sure if there is a specific spec on it. It was, but I mean, it's been sourced out. It's on site, so
Got it.
we're using it for the pool house as well.
Val, comments? Val, you're muted.
Saying it's great, the grout joints, you know, they match the house, so it looks fine.
Mrs. Dearman?
I'm very pleased that they are going through with this project of having the 2 chimneys. I think it's very good.
Great. Judith?
I think it's wonderful. And also the grout is narrow, which is important too, I think. And it's beautiful. And I love the idea that we're going to have 4 chimneys on that house.
Oh, it looks good. Is a motion to approve 258 Main Street as submitted?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
128 Germain Avenue.
Anthony,
Hi,
I got your-
everyone.
Excuse me, I'm just telling Anthony. Anthony, I got your email about the adjournment of 47 Howard Street.
Yeah, we'll come back to that as soon as I get some more clarity from the homeowner there. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
128 Germain, please.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Carrie,
Cindy.
will you be sharing my PowerPoint, or should I try to do it on my own?
If you want to try it, you can do it. If you wanna-
Okay.
I'm sorry, I think I missed your name. Can you please state it for the record?
Yes, Lynn Chin.
Great, thank you.
Hi, everyone. At the last meeting, I believe the process was that you would walk and inspect my property on the outside. And if you can see my screen here are my requests for changes. I don't intend to make substantial changes besides the following. The current windows are pretty dilapidated, and I plan to cut down and frame and paint the windows to be identical. And the windows that I am suggesting are Anderson 400 series double hung white, as pictured to the right.
Great. So let's start with the windows. And Zach went out to the site. And Zach, can you let us know what your findings are?
Sure. Well, fortunately, the house is positioned very close to the sidewalk, as you know, so I was able to look at the window sashes on the front facade and also down the two sides. And I believe they're original to the house. In my report, I mentioned a couple of things pertinent to the windows themselves. There are other aspects in this application, but one being that the house was not a house to begin with. It appears to have been a commercial structure, or a little store, or perhaps a little neighborhood business, which explains why it has a recessed and centered front door. It also explains why the window sashes are relatively large. Even though they're of the 2/2 configuration, if you compare them to windows of that same period in houses, they're a little bit bigger. And the reason for that, I believe, is that it was bringing more light into a larger sales room than would have been necessary for a house subdivided into various rooms. You also notice that the chimney is centered all the way at the back of the building because they were not heating the front rooms in a conventional way. All of which leads me to say that I believe these windows are original to the building and should be retained. I think there are a number of options for making them operable and thermodynamic, or whatever the word is. What you don't see in this picture to the left is that there are presently storm windows of the conventional aluminum exterior type. Sometimes applicants don't like the aesthetic of those. Those can be replaced either on the exterior or the interior to achieve the sort of heat retention which everyone wants and needs, of course. But the sashes themselves all appear to me to be original, and I think they're important to be preserved.
Okay, so applicant, would you like to continue with, I guess, the shingles, the roof, and the trim, and the door?
Yes. The next request is to repair the foundation. Due to structural concerns, we will strengthen the foundation with concrete and paint the foundation of the same color as the mortar, which is white. And I gave a sample of my old house that I had restored in Newport, and it will be of similar, and I'll retain, of course, aesthetically as close as possible as I can, and ensure that the foundation will be repainted white.
Zach, can you opine on this?
Well, if there is, I see in the picture to the right, this must be the back wall.
Correct.
Okay, and I can't really see from this particular picture, but I don't understand what you mean by repairing it with concrete. What is that as a repair?
So the entire house is sagging, and the interior, yeah, it's completely sagging. And the contractors have said to me that they will need to ensure that they repair the inside of the house and restructure it with concrete. And so I don't plan, again, to change very much the exterior of the foundation. I plan to, keep the same look, of course.
Okay, so I just want to back up. When the building was constructed on a fairly high, it's abnormally high in this picture at the back, because evidently the grade slopes to the back. It's about 1.5 feet or so above grade in the front. It's brick, and the brick is not painted, and it was not meant to be painted. Now, if there's a section like the back of the house where, because the foundation wall has deteriorated and needs to be rebuilt in some way and could be painted aesthetically, I don't think that affects the appearance of this building from the street. Yes. But I mean, I'm not an engineer. That's not my background, but it does. There's information missing here, and if the contractor is providing this information, I don't think that's the proper you know, determining valuation, I think you need an engineering sort of a study here, because I didn't see from the outside that there was any indication of structural deterioration or failure. And I don't know how the back wall being rebuilt in so-called concrete is going to deal with the entire mass of the house. There's just information lacking here. I don't know what to.
Yeah, I apologize. I should clarify. The concrete's on the interior, not on the exterior. I was told to run the exterior by you because the exterior is what matters. And I should say there's no concrete on the outside. I plan to retain the interior exactly the same. So I will retract that and not even bring up the concrete on the outside.
There'll be no removal of the brick foundation.
No, I don't intend to. I plan to just keep it the way it is. Everything.
Well, that's an exact answer. Are you? We need to know that, because you would have to come back if you're going to remove the foundation.
I'm not going to remove the foundation.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. Just for clarification.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Next.
So there's a giant dead tree in the middle of the yard, and it's overhanging the house. I've been approved for a pool, and as I mentioned, we do want to clean up the foundation on the interior, and this tree is in the way. We would like permission to cut down this tall dead tree that's hanging over the house, so that I could have a beautiful yard. I bought the land for the yard, and I do plan to come back before the ARB with the yard plan, but this tree's just standing there and it's dead.
Okay, so we can go through all the items with the board, but we do have an issue with the historical window. So we will go through and get the opinion of the rest of the board members.
Okay.
Mrs. Dearman, regarding.
Well, I have just a quick question about the trim and the door. What are we doing with the trim and the door?
Keeping it exactly the same. I plan to restore the door. I plan to paint it robin's eggs blue for the color of the door, and I'm retaining the trim, restoring the trim and repainting it white.
Okay.
Nothing changes.
And
So what does that mean? You replace the wood, or what does restore mean?
I would replace the wood to make it look exactly the way it is. If similar to the windows, you're telling me I have to keep the trim wood, I could do that too. I don't plan to change the look of it. I do plan to obviously repair the hinges, repaint the hinge and the trim, and paint the door robin eggs blue.
So repair the door, does that mean remove the door and put another door in?
No, remove this door and repurpose it and repaint it. That's what I did to my old house.
Okay,
I like the door.
Mrs. Dearman?
And how about I know it's asbestos, is that correct? The
Yes.
shingles? So they'll be taken off, and then what are you going to put on?
For the siding?
Yes.
Yes, I plan to replace the siding with Alaskan white cedar shingles, and very similar to that. And I don't plan to paint them. I plan to let them weather completely out.
Okay, Bethany, I want to switch over to Zach. Zach, the siding?
Yeah. Well, the siding, as is indicated, is entirely presently covered with this asbestos tiles, which date from the, let's say, 1940s or 50s or so. It would be my guess, but I made a recommendation in my report that a small section of those shingles be removed, because it's my excuse me, guess that the building was actually clad with clapboards, not shingles.
Right.
And so, and you can see at each of the window openings, moldings have been attached to the outside edges of the existing casing, which is original. The trim, if you will, of the windows is intact. Moldings have been attached to the sides in order to allow for those new shingles to sit on top of the existing siding. So what will be found when those asbestos tiles come off is all the siding will very likely still be there. It may well have been damaged in the application of the new siding. So I'm not saying that that original siding can necessarily be saved or preserved or repaired, but it will certainly give the applicant the type of siding that is appropriate to the building. And judging from the use of the building originally and its date of construction, It was not wood shingle, it is clapboard.
Even
So-
better, I wanted clapboard, so I'm happy to
Okay.
put clapboard on.
But I'm saying a quick area of investigation will show that. We have all the indication that that's what it is, but and it would be a simple enough thing to take that off. So I think that, that is what would be preferred as a final.
Okay, so applicant, we're a preservation board. So you're going to keep the foundation. We're requesting that you keep the windows, and we're asking to have an investigation of, I guess, the siding removal a couple places around the house so we could see if there is something salvageable.
Mhm.
Having heard this, how do you feel about these recommendations?
I'm fine with the recommendations. I want a livable house. We did pull a piece of the siding off to see what was under there, and it looked like they were shingles, which is why we decided on shingles. So
Yes.
I will remove more of it, but they were shingles. So I will take them off and you can take a look. I'm fine with whatever. I mean, I just want a livable house.
Val, comments, please?
Well, our historian is correct. This used to be a bakery. And
A bakery.
Yeah.
yes, it was a
Perfect.
bakery. Yeah, it was across the street from the Madison Market. So
Oh.
that's why the format is what it is. But I think,
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah.
yeah, right on.
Okay.
But I like, the restoration of this. The siding is definitely not historic, it was something rather like a Band-Aid, to cover material which might be original. So I think the forensic discovery process is something that has to take place. And then I'd feel more comfortable, in saying shingles versus clapboard. But I'd almost be tempted to say shingles on the two sides and the back, and maybe clapboard to the front. It'll be interesting to see what you find out.
Discover, right?
Yeah.
Bethany?
The only other question I have, I mean, I'm happy, very happy that we found all this information about it. And then also that, your plan is to restore. And how about the roof? What is the roof going to be?
So the roof is going to be asphalt. I think it's black asphalt right now. And so I plan to replace it. No one can see it with exactly the same thing. We plan to insulate the roof and make it as new as possible so it lasts for as long as I live in it and beyond.
Steve Williams?
I think that if she does her investigation, more than she should move around the facade of the house, because it might be different treatments, clapboard here, shingles there.
Okay.
And for the most part, I think the concessions that were made here are good and valuable. I would just like, when we look at this again, for her to have her revised scope together so that it's very clear about what she is going to do and not do in terms of a scope as opposed to options or allowances. So I think we're going in the right direction here.
I do have a question around guidance on the windows. So what I'm hearing is I can remove the asbestos to insulate the windows, et cetera, but I would need to keep the trim in the original wood. They're broken and splinted. So is there somebody who can fix that for us? Because I asked around and everybody said that these window panes are broken and the wood is splintered. And
I think the best thing to do is, yes, we're not going to have you keep a rotted piece of wood, but to go back to the site and, with the photos or the elevations and make notes about what we hope to see preserved, and we could do the investigation regarding the siding and the foundation. It's really important we go through this process with everyone, sort of protocol. We are a preservationist village, and this is our this is our job.
I understand. I'm just looking for guidance on protocol, as you said, so I know exactly
Well, can I?
Who can
I don't mean to
restore the
cut you
windows?
off. Just a quick. I didn't walk down either of the side facades or around to the back, but I didn't see. There may be a couple of broken window panes, and of course, these are large pieces of glass, and so if there is a pane of glass that's broken, like that one,
Yeah.
that should be replaced. But I didn't see any, comprehensive. I would say perhaps a schedule of windows numbered 1 through 22 or whatever it may be, and window by window. If there are some where the glass needs to be replaced, fine. But I didn't see any damage. I mean, the sashes can be they can be refurbished, you might say. The paint can be taken off so that they operate properly. The lowers are counterweighted. If those sash cords have been broken, they're no longer working properly. That's just a simple repair. So I think it's not helpful to generalize at this point about the windows as a whole. There may be one window this, one window that, but generally speaking, they appear to be in very good condition. They just need to be cleaned up and made operable.
Okay.
So,
So Zach,
we're,
Who do I go for that? And what about insulation?
Well, you don't insulate a window. I mean, you have aluminum storms that were installed on the outside, and that was performed that function. If aesthetically, many times people nowadays feel that kind of compromises the appearance, you can have interior storm windows devised and installed, which would provide the same thermal
I get it.
insulation.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. What you care about is the sashes and the trims and the original exterior. Got it. Okay.
And the original glass, if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so-
Zach, let me ask this question.
Sure.
You mentioned that after to accommodate the asbestos siding,
Mhm.
that there was additional molding added to the trim.
Yeah.
So the applicant's clear if she's going to go back to an original depth and surface,
Mhm.
those additional moldings,
Mhm.
those aren't the focus of our concern. Is that correct?
Well, if you can look at that picture to the left, you can see on the casing, the window casings, which are at both sides of on the sides, you can see a narrow piece of molding that's been attached to the outside edges of those casings, and that's there because when the asbestos siding went on, it brought the wall out, and it needed to stop against some kind of a wooden piece. If those strips of molding were removed, along with the removal of the asbestos siding, you would be back down, let's say you'd be in about an inch to the earlier siding, which butts up against the original casings. So the original fabric is still there, simply a question of removing what's been added to modify it. The lintels are original, they project out, but that's because you want the water that's coming down to bounce off the window. So those are fine. It's just those narrow moldings on left and right of the windows that accommodated that later application of siding.
So-
So this is part of the forensic investigation.
right. So if I could jump in here,
Yeah.
the only thing I can see discussing would be possibly the tree tonight. So we really need to go back to the site and look underneath this siding, and like Zach said, you need a window schedule to point out which windows you would like to rehabilitate in some way other than just repairing. So this is where we are. I think we need to go back to the site with you and review your project before we can go further.
Okay. I will be there Sunday through Tuesday, and I'm happy to stay however long because I would like to go through every inch with you so we just get it all in agreement and specific. And I can have my contractor there as well if that would help.
Okay, great. So we'll work something out with Carrie.
Can we discuss the tree?
Val, how do you feel about this tree?
I'd rather walk the property, and get a sense of,
Dean,
Yes,
I mean,
yep. Yes.
I
it's
just
quite,
also want you to know that we are going to be, we can also vote on making an extension of the ARB approval for the pool that was approved 2 years ago. And the homeowner would like to know if they can extend their approval. And where the pool is I believe right where that tree is.
Okay. Judith, how do you feel about this tree? It's where her pool
I
is.
really can't tell from this picture. It doesn't look dead to me, but if it's going to be in the way and if it's endangering the house, I don't know. You're the tree man.
Bethany, comments about the tree?
Were you able to go, Dean, and see the property, see the tree?
No, I was scheduled to go there today, but that didn't work out. with,
Okay. So I haven't either, but a part of me feels that if if the pool was approved and that the tree is in the way, and she's willing, I feel, to do so much like with the windows and preserve all of that for the village, I feel that it would be okay to cut down the tree.
Thank you so much.
Steve Williams.
Yeah, no, I'm listening. I'm thinking about how I want to say this. I think that she should be allowed to cut down the tree. That being said, I would really like a note from an arborist in the file just to say it's dead so no one can challenge us in the future. And maybe I'm becoming too much of a stickler here. But I really kind of like consistency, and I think.
So I was told I used too many adjectives, and I'm going to stop using adjectives. Dead was my word. It just looked dead to me, but I'm not a gardener. It's hanging over my house, and
I think the tree is out. If we're voting on this tree and extending her permit, her decision for approving the pool, I think this tree is outgrown its relevancy on this site. It's out of proportion with it. You could see that the sap is coming out of it. It's definitely not dead, but I would be willing to move forward on her previous approval for a pool in this location. So
I yield to your direction, sir.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so Carrie, I'm not familiar about this approval for this pool, but you're saying that we could tonight make a motion to extend her approval, you saying?
Yes. I can send you guys the approval.
We just need to know that it was approved. So
It was 100% approved.
okay, so I make the motion to extend the approval for her pool on this property with the removal of this tree. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Okay, so we look forward to meeting you at the site.
likewise. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night. Bye.
Okay, I guess 47 Howard Street, I make a motion to table 47 Howard Street. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
4 Brandywine Drive, please.
Hello, board. Good evening. Angela Anzarello for 4 Brandywine.
Great, please tell us about your project.
Sure. I was before the board last week, and the request was to provide additional information for grading, some additional planting information, details on the construction of the structures, and a cross section indicating those. So let me see if I can go ahead. I've been practicing, Carrie, how to share my
All
screen.
right, go ahead.
Oh, God. If everyone could bear with me.
Pull it up and then hit new share.
Listen. Share. Okay. Can everyone do that? No?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Your list.
Okay. So this is the site plan. And again, we are proposing the structure in the
You
back.
just have to click on the actual site plan.
Oh, okay, like that. Yeah. Can everyone see that?
No,
No.
We just see your list.
We just see your list.
Okay. All right. Maybe I didn't practice enough, clearly. See my list.
If you just double click on one of those
yes,
PDFs,
Okay.
it will come.
Okay. And share that. Let's see. You share. No? No.
Nope.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Hold on. I'm so sorry, and I don't mean to take anyone's time. All right, let me share this. Okay. That's what I want to share. Okay. Is
There you
that
go.
Hey.
okay? Okay, so the intention for the structure is to mitigate some of the sound for the owners, because 114 is over here. There's the empty lots that face 114. And so this structure's intention is to kind of mitigate that between the structure and then adding a waterfall feature. Let me just go forward. Oh, that's, sorry, whoops. Okay, here's some existing condition photos. So the rear of the yard faces 114, which is off in the distance here. And so Dean, you had requested to add some additional topography to understand the drop off from the structure to the back property line.
And the pyramid law and, making
Yes,
sure
yes.
everything's, in
Yeah,
order. Yeah.
I have some other things addressing that, but I just want to, let me just zoom out one sec. Okay, so just to explain, so there is the drop off, and this structure's part of it is going to act as a retaining wall. So the structure's almost sitting at the apex of where the property is, like at its highest point, and then it drops off beyond that, but obviously we're going to kind of grade it correctly and then swale over here and catch these in a dry well. But the structure itself is going to act as almost a retaining wall. So the cross sections, and I think the materials are matching the existing house. So what's there is stained, excuse me, cedar, asphalt, shingle siding, AZAC. We do have an open structure in the middle.
Can you just tell us what those members are and how far they're spaced apart, the open air part of the permit?
Yeah, we're gonna do cedar because cedar is lighter than mahogany. Initially, we intended on mahogany, but the span is just about 20 feet. So we're going to have a cedar timber members.
And what are the sizes of those things?
Right at they're 3 by 12. They're gonna be true 3 by 12s.
And what is the spacing between each one?
By code, we'll do 16 inches on center.
Interesting, great.
So just to zoom in real quick. So just wanted to. Okay, so the grade at the back is, and these elevations will work backward from the survey and the survey indicates the first floor, which is 21.9, I believe. So, and then there's a deck from the house down to grade, and then the grade rises a little and then flattens where the existing pool is, which is going to remain, and then it starts to drop off. So there's about, from, like I said, we're going to kind of cut off the top of the mound, so to speak, and then put the structure on top. And I thought I had, this is an 11-foot setback. So I know we're allowed 10 feet, but to accommodate that drop off a little more even, we set it in an additional foot, just so it wouldn't have an issue with the pyramid law. And then specifically Dean, initially we had proposed a typical soffit that normally comes out a foot or so, but to also just definitely address any pyramid issues, this is a detail for an abbreviated eave that keeps it real tight to the structure.
Thank you for supplying all the extra details that we asked for. Judith, do you have comments about this?
No, I think it's shaping up nicely. I think it'll be quite nice.
Steve?
I have no problems.
And this
Judith?
is
No, I just said it's fine.
I'm sorry. Bethany?
I think it's fine.
Great. Val?
Yeah, it's looking great.
Thank you for those details. They're really important. We're an aesthetic board, so thank you for going through that exercise with us.
Sure
Do
thing.
I have a motion to approve for Brandywine Drive?
I'll make a
I'll make
motion.
that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So was that Steve and Judith, or was that Val?
Val and
It was
Judith.
a tie.
We're going with Val.
Val and Judith.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
14 Henry Street,
Yes, that's me as well.
and you are?
Angela Anzarillo, representing Christina Zachariah. And we had,
Eric's on now.
oh, he is. Hey, Eric.
Yep.
Hey,
guys.
Hello.
We were asked for similar requests to provide some more additional details, but we did make one modification that I just want to point out quickly on the site plan. And can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. So in the previous application, the original pool equipment, sorry, let me just go back up. The original pool equipment is in this little bump out shed that was added when a pool was put in there. Obviously, it's not original to the structure. So we initially had proposed recessing that and creating a well for it at a concrete, but in hindsight, it made more sense to actually move it closer to the pool, and the setbacks, it's 30 feet to the edge of the pool. So we're within the setback, and I believe, I thought I had it on here. Sorry, I can provide that dimension, but this is a 32 foot setback. So this is 10 is approximately here.
Okay.
So instead of having equipment there, we're proposing to put a masonry patio there. And also the owner, we would like to, instead of doing the transom window, this is the front elevation where we're gonna replace, let me just zoom in here. So we're going to replace the carriage doors, and then also instead of the transom windows, do a set of French doors here with the masonry patio off of there. And this dashed line indicates where that shed was. And then Dean, you had asked for some additional details for the cornice and the return and the eave and the soffit. So we're going to replicate essentially what's on the main house, but a little more proportionally to fit the size, the scale of the structure. And then this would be the proposed new elevation with the set of French doors.
Val, comments?
I liked it. I thought, relative to the, I guess, the shed that they have there, this is it's a nice feature in terms of complement to the house. So
It is very attractive. Steve Williams?
It's fine.
Judith?
Oh, very attractive. A
Bethany?
big improvement.
That was good.
Thank you for all the details. It's super important, and we know exactly what you want to do, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you. Just a couple of details. Okay.
Yep.
Wow, nice.
Nice details.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Zach, any last words?
No, I mean, I think this was misidentified in the survey as being
Yep.
of any age, and so I think it's simply an aesthetic decision, and I think it looks very attractive.
Do I have a motion to approve 14 Henry Street?
I'll make
Motion,
them,
Alan,
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, board. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Okay, Nivida entrance, please.
I think Lorraine is on
Yes, hello.
and Mr. Brennan.
Yes, I will be your point person here tonight. And we're back again to try to get the sign replaced. And you have pictures of the sign with the right colors. It's and the area, the visible area will be 34 by 36 by 24. One of the inches on each side will be in the frame that goes around the sign. It will go around the sides and over the top, to which we will attach solar lights that only look down. In the package of material that you should have, there are pictures of pretty much everything, plus a drawing of the sign, which will stand when 6 feet from the ground. The top of it will be 6 feet from the ground, or basically about 4 feet from the planter. The planter is a little, because it's on ground that's not completely even. It's that the planter at one point is 19 inches from the ground, and the other corner it's about 23, 24 from the ground. But the whole sign will go inside the planter.
And what is the sign made out of? What is, I mean, the
It's
post?
made of, everything is PVC. It will be double-sided, and it will have a gold osprey at the top in gilt with very dark green lettering, and it's a seashell white semi-gloss paint that will be the background.
Carrie, do you have a picture of the sign,
Yes.
please? Steve Williams, do you have comments?
It all sounds wonderful. I have no problems. You know, you know me, I like the flat matte as opposed to the semi-gloss, but semi-gloss is better than high gloss, so I'm okay with it.
Well,
Val?
I can easily make it, I'm just looking at what we got today we had a trouble getting information for some reason from the sign manufacturer. And the thing that I got today says semi-gloss PC, but if people like matte, I just want it really visible, which that area is so dark and our sign now is so small. There it is.
Val Florio, do you have comments?
I like it.
Thank
Bethany?
you.
Bethany, do you have
I
comments?
think it's fine.
Judith, comments?
I think it's very handsome.
Whoa, I like that.
Thank you for providing all the information that we've requested. I make a motion to approve Nivida Association as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Great. Thank you.
Oh, well, I'm going to miss you guys. It's been fun coming back.
Aren't you coming back with landscaping?
No, the landscaping was approved last time.
Oh,
okay.
darn.
Good night.
Good
Merry
night.
Christmas, Happy
Bye.
Hanukkah, and Happy New
Happy New
Year,
Year.
everybody.
Thank you, you
Okay.
too as well.
Okay.
22 Dennison Road, please.
Okay, do you want a minute to get us up? Can you see me? It's John Landis.
Yes, we see you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We're gonna share the screen, if that's okay.
Well, that went really well.
Yep.
Got it? Okay. So
Okay,
last time,
we just asked for you to clarify some of your details. So if you could run through the project, that'd be great.
sure, okay. So, can we minimize that? One set of details is the fence, the little fence in front, which extends out in front of the house. It's a 42-inch high picket fence. It's not coming down. And minimize that again. And it's, I think they call it French Gothic. So it's oak, I believe, painted white. And there's an architectural detail here. And we also have this picture, which was part of the original plan. So this is all reflected in the current state of the plans. And And this fence will, the perimeter will extend out about 20 feet from the front of the house, and just kind of border the perimeter of the house. It's about maybe 20 feet from the curb. And so that's all the fencing we have. We are moving the driveway, which we talked about last time, from this position down here, closer to the house. And there's an existing bluestone walkway outside the portico, and we're just extending that a little bit right up to the close to the driveway.
I will ask the rest of the board about this driveway, but I think that's really, I like it. And I'll ask how we all feel about it, but that's like sort of a public works approval that you would need to get from them for, to change the curb cut. That's out of our range, but we can give you our aesthetic feel on this.
There used to be a drive, apparently this used to be the garage right here. So the original driveway was here. Then later somehow it got moved over here, which is gravel, but there's still like an open area here, which is an open curb cut, which I think we'll take it up with Public Works, but that probably would have to be maybe fixed as well. So, this would be resealed and this would be opened up, and we'd have to fix this. But the basic interior change that we're making to the house is right here, which is currently still a garage, a portion of a garage, and we're going to convert that into a portion of this den off the kitchen. But those are really the major changes into the interior. And the other details we added we're just getting some more botanical names to the plants, showing the planting in this perimeter outside the fence. We added from the last drawing, we added some planting here, essentially the same kinds of plants that we would have, which would be flowering perennials, 3 to 4 feet in height. And this would screen some of the existing equipment that faces out to Susan Street, because the property is on the corner of Susan and Dennison. I think we added the size of the pea gravel, which is 3/8 inch. And so that's the detail that we've added on this one. No other detail, I don't believe, was added. The other detail that we've added is in, I think, the last drawing, which is here. We have the size of the windows. You can see here on this rendering, on this elevation, that we've got 3 sets of 2 coming across, and these are all 30 by 54. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. 30 by 46 with these wood shutters on the outside of each. This existing bay window is just being replaced. I don't think we're going to go with these mullions. It'll be simpler, more like the one we currently have. The roof is being extended in this direction a little bit just to add some shelter over the entrance. And detail here is this metal piece that comes across will kind of hide the extension of the roof, what otherwise would be a patch that you'd seen in the roof shingles. And that is a standing seam metal roofing, zinc color, Kynar 500 anodized aluminum. I think that'll look nice. The only change to the front is some board and batten added right here. The details up here, and I think there's going to be one post.
Okay, so just to be clear, the double windows are 30 by 46.
They're 30 by 46. Anderson,
and then the bay window, or the major window there, what are the side? How is that going to be formulated?
Well, right now, this is one pane, this is one pane, and this is one pane, and I think we do exactly the same thing. I can't give you the exact dimensions, but the dimensions of the existing.
Can you just tell us exactly what those?
Exactly.
You say I think, but what is going to happen with this window?
Yeah, we're going to have one pane here.
Yep.
One pane here and one large pane here. We're not going to have these mullions. Just going to be exactly the way it currently is on the house.
So we're going to have 5.
It would help me if I could see that on the original house.
Okay, let me see if I can find that original elevation. There's a photo, yeah.
There you go. Come back over.
There you go.
So it's going to be a bay window like this? Is that what
Yeah,
I
it's gonna
call it?
be, exactly. It's just.
Oh, okay.
Replace that.
So
I
you
don't
look-
know, looking at these struts below.
Yeah, when you look at the other picture, that isn't what you think it's gonna be,
Yeah, I'm sorry about
Right.
that. The rendering
all right.
is a little misleading.
And Dean, I had the question too about the pairs of windows, right? 30 by 46,
He said
because
they were-
it's not marked that.
He said they're
On
gonna, they'll.
On the
they would-
left-hand side, it's marked 50.
Right, he said
Four.
they will all match.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
They should be 30 by 46, just like these other.
Right,
two
okay.
sets of 2 by 30 by 46.
Okay.
Steve Williams?
I liked it last week. I liked it. I like it again. And looking at the landscaping, the kind of random as opposed to structured scaping, I think is really nice. So you get my vote again.
Val, comments?
Yeah, same here. I liked it the first time and, it looks great.
Well. Judith, comments?
I like it. Thank you for the clarification on the bay window, because I didn't get that either, but now because of Bethany's question, I get it. Seems great.
Okay, so we'll go for a vote, applicant, and then I guess in the conditions, you'll have to get your approval from the
I
highway department
did
for.
want to say that I appreciate that the parking, the driveway, because it's so nice to see somebody plan to have their vehicles park on their property. Because so much here in the village now, they don't make the driveways large enough to even take care of their own vehicles. And so they're on the street. So I appreciate that you are actually planning this, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve 22 Dennison Road with the clarifications that we made tonight. And as far as the parking and the driveway is concerned, our approval, if you get approved, is based on you getting permission from the highway department for this other curve cut. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I ask one quick question? When I look at the plan, of what I was given, it says a shed.
That's right.
We went through that last meeting. It was the.
And we're
it was the
good? We
fencing and, yeah.
approved it? We approved it, bud?
No, we didn't approve, but we liked it. They
Okay.
just clarified the issues that we had tonight. in
All
the
right.
Previous meeting.
I just want to make
But
sure.
if you want to revisit the shed, we can.
I'm good if we,
We just approved them.
yes, we did. We're good. I just didn't want us to miss it.
No, thank you very much,
you.
Mrs. Dearman. Thank you, sir.
You're so welcome.
Thank
6
you very
Meadow
much.
Lark Lane, please.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Phil Pape for the applicant, Carrie Kravitz. We had a meeting, I guess, last month regarding fences, pergola, and a driveway gate. I was asked to come back to submit a little bit more detail on the driveway gate. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to see if I can screen share this. Do you see it?
We cannot.
You cannot. Try that again. Okay, technical difficulty. Would it be possible for Carrie to put that up for us?
How do you feel about that, Carrie?
We lost Carrie.
Carrie?
Hello.
Hello?
See your name.
Carrie Garapi,
Yes.
is it possible that you could bring up 6 Meadowlark Lane, their gate?
Yes, I'm doing it right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome. Hey, do you see that?
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, can you tell us about your gate?
Yeah, so the gate is essentially just mimicking the existing gate at the street. I mean, fence at the street. And it's a sliding gate. It slides to one side. So it appears to be two fence sections sliding to the south.
So the members of this gate, they match exactly the fencing material?
Yes.
The horizontals in every
Correct.
way?
Exactly. They're exactly in alignment. Everything will align both at the face as well as the spacing and the dimensions of each of the boards.
Is there a mechanism to open this gate and close this gate?
Yes, there is.
And
Yes.
where will that be housed? Will that be on the outside of the street side of the?
No,
building?
that will be behind. There's a hedge that's so there's the fence, then there's a hedge, and then this will be behind that.
So we won't see that from the street.
No, you will not.
Okay. Judith, comments?
I think it looks quite nice. And my only question is, why doesn't it sag? I guess the engineering is such that it won't sag. So it'll just go straight to the left.
Correct.
Okay.
To the right,
Nice.
if you're
To the
standing.
right, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
I think it looks very nice.
Val Florio?
It looks great. Thank you for the detail work.
Thank you.
Steve Williams?
So one question, you said that the mechanicals are going to be to the right. You said separated by a hedge. Does that mean that the gate itself is set back from the fence, or am I misunderstanding?
What do you mean exactly?
You said the mechanicals were going to be shrouded by a hedge or some planting.
Yeah, there is a hedge there, so that's the motor and all that will not be visible from the street. It'll be within that hedge.
So
the hedge is behind the fence, correct?
That's right.
It's behind the fence. So just asking, because I'm trying to.
It's
That's
6
not
inches
going
back.
to. That's not going to require that there is a return from the fence line to the front of the gate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I think it's fine.
Bethany Dearman,
Yes, fine.
you like it?
Yep.
Great. I make a motion to approve 6 Meadowlark Lane as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
You.
New business. 57 Franklin Avenue. '57 Franklin. Proposed pool, retaining wall, fire pit.
Hey, can
umbrellas.
you guys hear me?
Yes.
Andrew Mullinger.
Hello?
Hi, we hear you.
Hey there, this is Andrew. On behalf of Stephen Bullock, I'm the landscape architect that did this one. I don't have, my computer's acting a little bit silly, so I can't share my screen. So I hope you guys have what we've submitted.
I can share it.
Okay.
We don't need the application.
The
You tell me what you want to say.
Okay. So what we want to do is we're just proposing some rear improvements, landscape, but if we want to add a pool. So we've got a pool that's basically floating in the yard back there. That will be proposed. Directly behind that, we want to do just like a freestanding fireplace. And then he's got a fence that's already existing in the front of the property. So for the pool fence in the rear, we just kind of want to mimic that, just making sure it's pool compliant. That's the detail we have up top.
Okay, can we see some drawings of some sort?
Do you have the? Sorry, I can't share these. You got, there it is. So if you zoom in, that's the landscape plan, and it's got, it shows the pool floating in the yard, and then, the fireplace would be behind there in that little niche. And we got the pool within the setbacks, and then one other thing, to get the pool equipment into the setback, there's an existing set of wood steps, and there's like a wooden timber wall that we would need to shift those steps over to the right, kind of where I've shown them on the plan. They'll be shifting over literally like 3 feet.
Judith, do you have comments?
You can see.
It seems fine to me. It looks as though there's privacy, certainly, and
Yeah, there's existing arborvitae hedge that is already there. It's pretty well established, so we're not really getting into any of that.
okay.
The only other thing we're proposing is relocating the deck steps.
Yeah.
That's the only other thing that we're really proposing.
I think it looks fine.
Bethany?
I think it looks fine.
Steve?
Fine.
Val?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I am as well. Do I have a motion to approve 57 Franklin Avenue as presented?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
240 Redwood Road.
It's David.
Hi,
Sherwood.
good evening. This is David Sherwood. I'm the architect for the applicant. And this is an existing 2-bedroom ranch. Oh, actually, I need to screen share here. It's an existing 2-bedroom ranch. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And essentially what we're proposing to do is to replace the shingles, which is the sort of sawtooth pattern, with new red cedar shingles, replace the windows and doors with something from this century, and do some interior alterations. The existing house has a garage, which you can see from the street. That garage is proposed to be captured into the living space of the home. Right now it's about 1,200 square feet. We're going to capture an additional 490 square feet by taking that garage inside for a total of about 1,700. And then making some interior alterations to open up the floor plan so that there would be a much more open kitchen, dining, living, great room, in essence, kind of that would be more commensurate with the way houses are today. The house is on the water in Redwoods, so the backyard is actually, as you'll see, pretty, unadorned from the street. We have some nice rhododendrons and some, you can't see them in this photo, but there are some street trees as well. So the front presents well. At this time, there aren't really any plans to make any changes to the landscape. It's really just for the windows and the shingles and the interior alterations. The
Do you
windows
have plans, David, that we can see?
Sorry, say again?
Do you have plans that we can
Yeah.
see? We're looking at the picture.
Yep. Can you see that?
We can see the
Just the
of the
picture.
house.
Oh,
Just the front, just the front of the house.
Okay. New share. Okay, we'll try this. Is that the front elevation now? Is that what you're seeing?
Yes.
Yes.
So the the existing reverse gable porch that remains, we're gonna take off the pork chops, and as I mentioned, the sawtooth shingling, and the windows that are going to be replaced are going to be replaced with 2/2 double hungs, trying to take it out of ranch and into cottage. was I able to change the rear? Or do I have to share it?
No, that's good.
No, you
Okay.
got it.
So from the rear, there is currently, I'll go back to the photo. There is currently a bay window that we are proposing to remove, as well as these sliders. And then we're just gonna, replace them with a series of, sliders looking out to the water. At the back of the existing garage, where we're proposing to put a little study, a little den, there will be a new sliding glass door put there that would have steps to grade as well. At some point, she would like perhaps to carry the deck across to the end, but that's going to require Harbor Committee. And right now the focus is to do the interior alterations.
Excuse me, I assume this is not a contributing house, right? Correct?
That's correct. Not.
Not, okay.
And how does the trim work around these windows? Is there a detail of that?
That's just going to be 5/4 by 4 AZAC. Just a square edge, 5/4 by 4 AZAC where the shingles would butt to it.
Val, comments?
I like it. I think, especially looking at the back elevation, it's much more organized. And I think to David's point, I could see why he stopped the rail on that very last sliding glass panel, but with good reason, because it triggers Harbor Committee. But overall, I think it's a nice improvement and a nice way to add on to the house without an external addition, by using the garage space. So all good.
Yeah, I think aesthetically updating this house, has done a wonderful job. We're not looking at a skyscraper kind of addition to this thing. I think you've done a great job.
Yeah.
Steve?
I have a ranch with similar topography, so I like what he did to the back, absolutely. So I find this very attractive.
Judith?
I think it's a huge improvement over what's there. I just want to double check that you're getting rid of that sawtooth look, and the new shingles will be just straight lines, right?
Correct. Yes. 5.5, 6 inches to weather. Standard cedar shingles.
Very nice. Very nice.
Bethany?
I agree with everything that's been said. I think it's a great project.
Great improvement. Is there a motion to approve? Let's go back here. 240 Redwood Road.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you, board.
14 Hillside Drive East.
Hello, my name is Yu Liu. I'm the architect for this project. I would like to share my screen.
Great.
You can.
You have 7 minutes.
You see?
Not yet.
Oh,
It's come.
you see it now?
It's
Okay.
loading. There you go.
Okay.
There we go.
Great. Okay. Let me see. This is the photograph of this is the photographs of the neighborhood. This is the house to the directly to the
Right.
to the right, yes. And the it's a new house, and then the rest of them are older homes. And then this house looks like this. It's a dilapidated because it was suffered a fire damage. And the property, let me see, is a rectangle. We are planning to plant trees along this side because on the other side has already dense shrubberies here. So now I'm gonna move on to the floor plans and the that's the basement. The first floor is fairly straightforward. It's basically a box. You come in, foyer, dining, living, kitchen, a mudroom, enter from the side, and then a den here. And then we have the look of the house. We are actually on this side is only 1 story, so the 2-story portion is only to the right side, so I can clear the pyramid. And this is the rear of the house. And I have, and that's the view from the side where the mudroom is, where it's 1 story. And then this the side facing the newer neighbor. That's that side.
And what is the
And
square footage of this house?
the square footage is 27. Oh, sorry, I got to the 2nd floor. Okay. It's 2740.
Thank you.
There it is. Yeah.
Let's go back to the elevation. The house would be, the siding would be a hardy shingles for the bottom, for the horizontal portion, and the vertical part would be wood and batten.
And what are the colors?
The color is called stone gray, and I have a picture here, like that, stone gray.
Yeah.
And the roof would be asphalt shingle, and it's going to be Georgetown gray, and it's this one with a box. And then the window is going to be black, and it's going to be Anderson A series. The front door is black, and I think I pretty much covered everything. I can answer any questions the board has.
And before I jump into the architecture with the board, there are several large trees on the site plan. I mean, not on the site plan, on the site. And one will be clipped for the driveway, which makes sense to me. But how can we preserve the other trees?
So you're asking us how we're going to preserve these 3 trees?
I'm not even sure if they're on your property or not, but I mean, that's part of that streetscape, and they're sizable.
We actually have not thought of it, but we will work on it and figure it out if they're on our side. Because you are the tree person, I don't really know. Are these trees healthy to you?
All trees are healthy.
Some of them probably is not.
There's the element of, belonging to your neighborhood. And in this area, there are a lot of oak-lined trees, and it's important that we kind of maintain that cadence. And that white oak is rather huge. I mean, I think it's, but that's my opinion. But as far as the aesthetics of the streetscape, to go in there and like level the site and make it not part of the surrounding area is sometimes offensive. So I would like to know what's going to happen with the existing trees and which ones you are planning to remove.
Okay, we'll work on that. So this is the white oak, I would assume, this is what
Yeah.
you're referring, this is white oak? And these are red oaks?
Well, there's the white there, and that one looks like a red one. It could be, I'm not sure from this picture. But you know, these two trees from the street. I would like to know, how you're going to work with them.
Okay, we'll work on it.
So for now, at this point, before we go further with the architecture, we're not cutting any trees down, except the one in the driveway.
Which one is that?
Just the one on the left.
On the left.
Okay.
Has to come down because of the driveway.
I would like to work on this a little bit more because.
Okay, so we'll
uh,
take out the landscape plan of this, and we'll talk about the architectural plans.
Yeah, I just want to work with the engineer to figure out where the septic to. So we're probably gonna look at this as a broader aspect, to figure out how to preserve as much tree as we can to work out the driveway and the septic together.
So we're going to remove, for discussion purposes, the landscape right now. We'll talk about the architecture.
Okay, all right.
Okay, great. Okay, so if we can go to an elevation, and Steve, how do you feel about the volume of this house and the architecture?
Well, I think it's similar in volume to the newer house to the right, as she illustrated. So I don't know where on the landscape the house is going to be located, but I think the further it's back from the property line, the better. And so that way,
Look at that.
Excuse me?
I want to ask the architect, can we look at the site plan where this house is situated on the property?
Yes, let's take a look.
And can you show us where the original house is versus where the replacement would be?
Okay, let me see if I can pull out something. You can see the original house is this dotted line.
Okay.
So we're basically following the same setback.
Mhm.
And the 35 feet is required setback where we actually use it for a window well here. And you can see this gray line is the original ranch house right here. And that's the setback in the back.
Okay. And one other question, what's your ridge line height?
33.
I don't have any major objections to the house. I think it's fine, and I think it's fine as it's been presented. I do want to save those trees if possible. That's very important, and it seems to me that given this lot size, you can find somewhere for the septic that won't be so wouldn't intrude on the existing front yard trees.
We'll try our best to save the trees.
Well,
We'll work together with the engineer. We'll figure it out.
We'd like to see that.
Yes.
Bethany? Bethany Dearman.
She's
Judith,
muted.
What do you feel about the architecture?
She's on mute, I think, but I see her.
I think, am I good now?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a good plan, the way with the pyramid law, the way she figured it out and everything. I like the design.
Great. Judith?
Yes, I think it is nice and it fits in at least with the house next door size wise. And if we can preserve as many trees as possible, I say it's good.
Val?
Yeah, I would agree. I think, it's interesting how the pyramid is forcing the mass of this house into a cozier scale. And I think it's appropriate to the street. There's a lot of one-story structures on the street, but in terms of I think the new, it looks good. It's not overwhelming. And the architecture looks nice too.
Yes, I'm very impressed with it. Using new materials, I think it's an attractive house. But I would move to table this project, and if you could come with it's a small lot. I think you maximized aesthetically and volume-wise this house on this space. But we'd like to see if you can make this work with some of those massive oak trees that are indigenous. So I think I think you have to come back with that.
Not a problem.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but you're again, because you are very good with trees, and I'm gonna ask you, which tree you think is most precious?
I think you should come back. I think if we're looking at the two trees from the one in the middle and the one on the right, I mean, they're great trees. Obviously, you have to approach this house somehow with a driveway, so that one on the left needs to, I guess that would have to go. But I'm not here to, put the red X on any of these plants. I'd appreciate if you come back and make your architecture work with the streetscape. If you don't mind.
Just one comment, Dean. I think the original, I don't want to call it a driveway, but self-use parking area seemed to have been to the right of the house as opposed to the left of the house. And given the fact that they are within the same confines of the original footprint, you might want to take a look at that.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I can change the parking instead of on the left, I could put it on the right. I could, so that's why I'm asking which tree is the most precious.
I'm just asking for you to go back to the site and come back to us and make your architecture work with the streetscape as best as you can.
Maybe the driveway can snake in between those trees.
That's what I'm trying to think, if I can sneak in the driveway, I work with the engineer to make sure I have all the rooms for the.
I think you have a favorable reaction from the board regarding everything that you're doing here, except making this thing work with the existing site.
Sure,
Okay,
I will work on it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great, thank you.
I make a motion to table 14 Hillside Drive East.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
For the record, the next meeting is the January 14th, 2021.
Oh, folks, I think I might have been skipped over. It was 125 Glover Street.
No.
When you're ready.
We didn't skip you yet.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Coming.
327 Division Street, please. 327 Division Street.
It's Mr. Zakowski.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. So please tell us what your name is and
Paul
your
Zakowski.
project.
Paul Zakowski. There's a lot at 327 Division Street. And I took 4 trees down, and I want to put up 4 cryptomerias to replace them for screening.
Okay, and what are the sizes of these cryptomerias?
10 to 12 feet.
And do you know what kind they are?
Nope.
Yoshinos are really nice.
Pardon me?
The Yoshino variety is really nice. It's one of the most commons. They stay green all year round, opposed to like a bronzy color. Just saying. And these trees will be, you're basically putting them in the place of the trees that you took down?
Yes.
Okay. Steve, do you have any comments?
No, I have no comments.
Bethany?
No, I'm glad that he's replacing the ones that have been taken down.
Judith?
It's totally fine.
Val?
I'm in favor, yeah.
Is there a motion to approve 327 Division Street?
I make that motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
125 Glover Street.
Yes, hi,
125 Glover
folks.
Street.
I'm sorry about the confusion. I thought that you were moving to the next meeting. Yeah, let me share my screen here. Okay, great. Can you see that?
And
Okay, yeah, so this is the drawing of the gate. That, just a reminder, this would be, it's 40 feet back into our property at the end of the driveway. The driveway was approved in the prior meeting, so this was the gate and 2 posts in the end, and this would be in mahogany with white paint.
the code is, maybe Elizabeth can expand on this, but from the front of the house, you have 2 front yards. So that comes to like a 48-inch gate max, if I'm not mistaken. Elizabeth?
I think you're right, Dean.
Yeah, are you referring to the height?
Well, you have a 5-foot dimension here.
Oh, yeah, but what our gate, the East Hampton fence gate folks said is that because it's to pool code and you can see the latch, they said this was the lowest that it could be while observing pool code and having a space to lift the latch. We'd be delighted for it to be shorter.
The latch is not the issue. It's the fence
The
and
height.
the post. It has to be a maximum of 4 feet high. Because
Okay.
you're in the front yard, and that is the deal. So you could move your fence. You can do whatever you want, but we have a code that we have to abide by, and it has to be 48 max.
Okay, and this is, and even though it's 40 feet into our property at the end of the driveway.
It's the front yard thing. Unfortunately, you have 2 front yards that you're dealing with.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it sounds like then I have a problem with being able to put in a gate that is to pool code.
Or you have to change the design a little bit, and the gate would maintain that 48-inch max.
I think we better get something from Tom on this one.
Okay, yeah, because I asked them to make it as low as it could possibly be while observing pool code.
So if it doesn't make it, so you have to go back to the building inspector, but you might have to change the orientation of your fence, because you have 4, not unless you go get a variance or something like that. You have 2 front yards, and you cannot have something higher than 4 feet in your front yard. So it's a very nice fence. You just have to make it work somehow.
Okay, and the 4, just so I can explain to the fence guys, so the 4 feet height restriction, that applies to the posts and the fence.
Yes,
It's
everything.
Nothing can be above 4 feet tall.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll also show you, maybe this one piece could be approved. This is the posts to be at the end of the driveway, and they are 48 inches tall.
Can you just speak to what the materials are on these posts?
Yeah, it's mahogany painted white.
Okay. Al, do you have any comments regarding these gate posts, these posts?
They look great.
Steve Williams?
I think they're fine. I think if the latch protrudes above the top of the gate post,
Steve, we're just talking about these columns at the driveway at the street.
They're at the beginning of the driveway, right by the street.
Right.
We're
We're not talking about the gate, Steve. That has to go back to the building department.
Okay, so I think those posts are fine.
Judith?
Great.
Bethany?
Okay.
And Val, I asked you, right?
You did.
Great. I love them too. So we can vote on these posts if you like by the street.
Okay.
Applicant?
Yes, great, thank you.
I make a motion to approve the posts at the street for 125 Glover Street as submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, and so what I would need to come back with is renderings of the gate at 48 inches.
Yeah, and I would start with maybe the building department and see if they have any words of wisdom for you. But other than that, 48 inches.
I'll talk to Tom in the morning, our building inspector, and if you'd like, I can give you a call in the morning.
Oh, thank you, Carrie. That would be
You're
great.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks. Okay,
Thank you,
thanks,
sir.
folks. Great. Bye.
Discussion. 25 Dartmouth Road, please.
Hi, I'm Megan Chiarello. I'm the homeowner. And Dan Michaels is also on the call. He's our architect and he can explain our plans.
Great.
You have a pretty Christmas tree.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
festive.
We can't hear you, Dan.
Oh.
We see you talking. You're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Still can't hear you.
Do you have your microphone on?
Do you mind if we jump to the next one and you guys can figure it out? We'll get back to you.
Sure.
We'll do a second call. 14 Rogers Street, please. Discussion. 14 Rogers.
Yep, I'm here. It's Alex Stone. I'm here with my wife, Kate
Hi.
Stone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. Just coming back before you all, the last time we were in front of you was a few months ago. That meeting stopped pretty short. You all wanted to come for a site visit. 3 of you came, I think it was in either October or November for that visit. It was very nice to meet you all. Since then also, we've been now finally in front of the zoning board for our first meeting 2 days ago. That went really well. So I think we're in a place now where we can talk a little bit further about our project with you all to make sure that we can get to a place where once we get our vote from the ZBA, we can move hopefully pretty quickly with you all, make sure we have all the pieces that you need to move to a vote.
So this is what I would like. If you could just explain to our board and the public where you are with the zoning board, what you're asking, how you feel, why you feel so positive about that, and then I'm going to go to Zach and have him just update us all on that meeting that we had at your site.
Great. Okay, can I share screen as I give you the update?
Please.
Yes, hold on one
Okay.
moment. You can go.
All right, let me make sure I pull up. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay, so just a quick overview of what we're doing in front of the zoning board. There are a few main pieces. Number one is this house is on Rogers Street. It's unique in that it sits directly next to the village's drainage sump. So it's kind of at a low point of the entire area. All of the surrounding streets in all directions for quite a while all drain onto Rogers Street, and all the water goes into the channel that sits just to the north of our property and into the sump. The problem is, it takes in more water than it really can handle. And so during pretty much any rainstorm, we get some pretty severe channel flooding down Rogers Street. And so as you saw in your site visit, unfortunately, our home sits it's kind of buried a little bit under the street. So it's really close to the street, and it's the first floor is actually a little bit under the ground. The shingles actually go into the ground on our main level. And so our first ask before the board, the zoning board, is to lift the main floor and the floor above it, just lift those 2 floors up by 2 feet to get us out of that flood, risk. At the second main ask is the home. I'm just gonna show you some elevations here to help. There is a wraparound porch that's already roofed and already partially enclosed with lattice and walls that's on the north and the east side. We're asking that we can enclose those roofed and partially enclosed porches, make them part of the interior of the home. The third main request, I'm going to go just quickly to the site plan, is we're putting in a pool. The variance that we're asking for is to actually shift the pool just a little bit closer to this property here is that village sump, as I mentioned, which is a big dirt pit that takes on the water. Our request to the board is that we move it to within 5 feet of the sump where 15 is required. And in doing that, we would actually be moving it much further from the property to our east and to our south than the required 15 feet. So we're asking them to move the pool a little bit closer to this uninhabited kind of ugly property. And, you know, really hoping that that is not viewed as an impact on anyone. The fourth and final variance that we're looking for is we're going to be expanding our parking court slightly, which is where my mouse is, slightly to the north so that it pretty much is right on the border with this access path, which is the village's access path to the sump. No one uses that path. It's not even accessible from the street because the drain, which you can see in this picture, is elevated quite a bit. So the village has to come onto our property anyway to access their path. So that's our last ask, is that we can expand the parking court slightly to the north, which would allow us to put 2 cars rather than 1 in that parking court. And so the reason I said that things went well is they, like you all, when you came, they seemed to be rather sympathetic to the flood concern with regards to the lifting of the house. They understand that the house as it is not, does not, you know, really, in this picture you can see here, it doesn't really like tower over the neighboring homes. In fact, the front gable that's closest to the street, which is really all that you see from the street, is quite low. It's lower than the house to the south. And so lifting it is not really going to make it look very out of character, and it will help greatly with the flood risk. Enclosing the roofed and partially enclosed porches, they didn't give me a vote on any of this yet, but they seem to indicate that seemed like a pretty reasonable request. And then with the pool, again, you know, it is an uninhabited property, so it's a pretty unique case. You know, they wanted to discuss it a little bit further, but you know, I'm confident that there are some small changes we can make that'll probably, you know, allow us to get somewhere with them there. And with the parking court, they really were in favor of that right away. They encouraged me to go for that pretty much. They said streets like Rogers Street that are already lacking so much parking, they always like to see parking added. So those were the 4 variances. If you have any questions on those, I can answer those. Otherwise, I can talk a little bit about, you know, what the designs will look like when we enclose the porches, and this little other things that
let's just start here. Sure. Thank you, Alex. So for context, the house to the south, it looked like the finished floor is about a foot higher than Alex's house, which he described that the shingles are below grade for some reason. I'm not totally sure how that happened.
Yeah, you can see it. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
So from there, I want to throw it over to Zach and let you guys know what his findings were.
Okay, well, I have a question. Clearly in this very helpful image of the house prior to its enlargement, the entry door, and okay, the entry door is within that
bump out.
Yeah. So I'm curious and concerned. The application suggests that original door will be made into a window, and that the new doorway will be brought into the front facade, and that the paired windows of the first floor are now going to be changed into 2 separate windows. Is that what's happening here?
That is what's happening.
Okay, thank you. So what I would say is that there's very little left of the integrity of this house, given the very large addition which has gone off to the back, which we can in fact see here from the street, with the ridge line rising so high as it does. My recommendation is that those changes should not happen, because that will essentially eradicate what is left of the integrity of the building.
Okay. The main reason that we're making that change goes along with the 4th and final variance I was talking about, which is hoping to be able to add a second parking space. If we leave the door where it is, we can't fit a car no matter how wide we make that parking court.
Okay, I understand that, but I'm saying that maintaining what is left of the integrity of this building is the highest priority before this board. Accommodating additional and expanded use of the building and or the property is not a priority. I also feel that lifting this 2 feet, which I understand there's a drainage situation here, which absolutely you should and are entitled to address. But lifting this 2 feet visually with that either brick or stone, I don't know what the material is, it doesn't matter, but the height of the building from its appearance from the street is really radically transformed. And again, we're talking about preserving the visual integrity of what is left of this contributing building. I would argue that any further changes to that would render this to no longer appear to be a historical building.
Okay, so Alex, can we jump to the elevations of the rear and see if we can get some comments from the board?
Mhm.
Okay, Val, how do you feel about the changes they are proposing to the rear of this house?
Well, I guess the architecture, you know, it's a welcome change to the structure. I don't want to, if this is before the zoning board, I don't want to comment on anything that would influence, you know, or, you know, that's not within our purview. So one thing I might note is the window divisions. Everything is very rectilinear, but on its side. Typically on a historic home, if you took a piece of loose leaf paper, 8.5 by 11, and held it, you know, horizontally, architecturally, it's more correct to keep it vertical. And I feel that the glass divisions on this house, a historian might agree with me, but to his point, these windows are sort of steering a little bit away from that vernacular in terms of their losing the historic, the typical historic Munton division. But yeah, I think the other thing is well, I'll leave it at that. That's my only comment.
Judith, comments about the architecture?
Okay, I'm assuming that this whole porch structure is not historic and is
Correct.
new.
That's correct.
Part of an addition, so you are free to do anything you want to it. I think, oh my, I think that there's an awful lot of glass there and a lot of mullions. It looks a little busy to me. I guess that's all I am thinking now, because I'm still thinking about whether this is going to end up being 2 feet in the air higher. And there are a lot of questions to be answered about it.
Whatever you're comfortable saying, that's all I'm asking. Bethany?
I feel the same as Judith. It's a lot of glass. I would assume, I mean, I know we're looking at the architecture, but I would assume that the landscaping, there's got to be some new landscaping also in the back. I mean, if you look out your back windows and see that sump. So I would imagine.
Yeah, there's going to be a substantial landscape plan, which we're preparing now and we'll certainly have for you at the next meeting. Yeah, the landscape is, you were there,
yes.
and the landscape is pretty bad, and that you see the sump very clearly, and the sump is surrounded by a chain link fence.
Yes.
So it's we're going to be hedging all of that.
Steve?
So my question goes back to the street side.
Yes.
Again, after the proposal of raising the building 2 feet over grade, what's going to be your finish height at your ridge line? You say it'll be lower than your neighbors, but what does that mean?
Yeah, 38. I don't have what the exact is for the neighbor, but this front ridge line, which is really, you can't get far enough away from the house really unless you go onto my neighbor's property across the street to see the higher gable behind it, which was part of the new addition. This gable here is definitely lower than the neighboring, the roof line on the neighboring house. So even bringing it up 2 feet, what you'll mostly make out from the street here will not appear higher than the house next door. I'm pretty certain. But you know, again, with the 2 feet, it's not because we're trying to make it look 2 feet taller. If you look at, you know, these pictures or some of the pictures that we found in newspaper articles from within the past 10 years, you know, the water has been up to the, you know, up to this level before. And we really don't want to be dealing with 2 full floors flooded if we can avoid it.
So why do you want to put a pool back there?
Well, you know, the interesting thing is that the flooding concern is actually worse in the front of the house than it is in the back, because she did raise, the previous owner did raise our backyard level up actually quite a bit. So in most rainstorms, the flooding happens on all of the neighboring yards around us. If it comes out of the sump, and it has to flood all of those yards before it floods our backyard. So it really does take, like I would say, a 50-year storm for the backyard to flood. The problem is, if the precipitation is heavy, it doesn't matter how much there is, that channel flooding down the street is what could get right into our living room on the street side. So the backyard really is a major 6-inch, you know, rain event, I would say, within a week to be a concern. But the front, if you have a heavy rainstorm that only drops 1.5 inches of rain, but it does so in 15 minutes, water's coming into our yard and, you know, coming up against the house because it jumps up our neighbor's driveway.
Can you go back to the front of
Sure.
the original?
The original, sure.
Yeah. Zach, do you have the write-up about the house in the book, in your famous book?
The famous book? Sure. Yeah. Okay. Sure. 14 Rogers. 2-story, which is not correct. It's actually 1.5, but I'll just read. 2-story, 2-bay frame residence with 2/2 light wooden sash windows, shingle wall cladding, brick foundation, and front gabled roof. Simple cottage has the entrance on the original side extension and paired windows with molded surrounds. There's a rear addition and a deck with a picket fence. So there evidently was a 1-story extension. I think you can see a little brick chimney there. There must have been a previous, you know, extension to the back of it. But I think as described, you can see that is the front door off to the side.
Right.
Front wall retains its symmetrical 2/2s, 2 paired up and above. I simply argue that that's pretty much all that's left of the integrity of the front facade of this house.
So my takeaway is that, you know, I was at the site. I don't understand why the sill is under, you know, below grade. I mean, it was right, Zach, I don't know if you recall, but I mean,
yes, I do.
It was under, and the house next door is definitely at least a foot higher. So as my vote goes, you know, raising this house some dimension, I can understand that in the preservation of this structure.
Yeah,
to Zach's point about the front door and the gable in the front, that's all that's left as original structure. If you could somehow maintain that, in as far as my vote is concerned, I think that's a pivotal point for me. And then as far as the parking concern, you know, obviously that's going to impact that. I think the preserving the front door and how this looks now is what's left is super important. To Val's point in the back, the lights being twisted on the side, and Judith, the mullions being a little high styled for this. Yeah, I do think that it would be a huge upgrade to enclose that back, and so you can enjoy that backyard. But those are basically my points, and I think you know, that there's no way that any of us would like to influence any other board, but I think those are pretty good comments, I think, from our board.
I had a question with back to this front, because the glass is 2/2. Is that gonna sort of steer the rest of the the glass
Yeah,
cut.
we only
in this
just came
house.
across this picture after you all came for the site visit, and so it was really very recent that we found it. So we are developing a more traditional option on the mullion pattern. So we can certainly go with, you know, a little bit more like this.
Wait, time out. Are the windows still intact? I mean, there was an extensive, you know, project on this house that enlarged it, et cetera.
Oh, no.
No,
I have in fact a photo showing they were removed entirely.
What you doing?
You see here.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Oh, wow.
So no, everything
Thank
was
you.
completely
That
redone.
it?
Yeah.
That answers that.
So, does that give some latitude to change the window cut, Zach?
No, I think the window sizes should remain the same. The 2/2 configuration is going to adhere to the, you know, construction date of the house and better preserve the appearance of it from the street.
So I think hopefully that was helpful. Anyone from the board, do you have any more comments?
Yeah, I kind of think that it looks to me that the front of the property was re-landscaped to support drainage to the back, and that's why the shingles have been submerged. They really have been covered, I think, by the new topography of the land. I think they should be able to raise the house. I'd like to see some more detail on that, but conceptually, they should have a functional house that remains strong.
Great.
Thank you. One other very quick question. When you were on site, I also mentioned that there's this tree here right up against the sump that prevents the hedging from growing, and it's actually growing into the wall. This was not here, believe it or not, when the house was redone in 2008. So this is some sort of a weed tree.
It's a talpa.
Okay. It apparently grows very quickly. And I was wondering if I could remove that. I spoke to Dee Yardley, who obviously maintains the sump. I spoke to my neighbor to the north and also my neighbor to the east. They had no issue with it, and I can get letters, you know, suggesting the same. But do you have would you have a problem with removing this tree?
I personally would not, but I think that's an application, a C of A that I guess Elizabeth could expand on that, but I think you have as far as removing a tree, you would have to go through.
Yes, yeah, no, of course. I wanted to just get your take on it. Same with, there's a tree in the east of our property here that's been overgrown with vines. It's a maple. It's the same with that. We'd like to, when you see our landscape plan, I just wanted to get your initial impression on whether you thought this would be an issue to remove this tree. In our new landscape plan, we're hoping to put some bleached linen trees as a screening hedge in the back, and they would replace this kind of struggling maple tree.
Yeah, I recall that that one was like storm damage or something like that, but we'd definitely like to see your
Great.
application.
Yeah, we'll have that for you next time. Are there any major things that you know, people often skip with a landscape plan that you want to make sure that we have? Anything that tends to trip people up that you know, that you think I need to make sure that I have for our next meeting?
How about ZBA approval?
I'm sorry?
ZBA approval?
Well, sure. Yeah, no, we're of course need the approval before we can be an agenda item, but just so that in case we have that approval and by the time I'm in front of you next, we have our variances, you know, are there any things on a landscape plan that
just macro, I'll speak to this. It's just screening the pool from a neighbor's view or the public view. And
Okay.
That's basically the deal.
All right,
Okay.
and then with a pool gate and stuff, you want to see like the SKU number, you want to see the actual, you know, gates that we use, right? I think
how the detail of it, what it's made out of, the height, and an architectural detail, so we know that it's not. We're not approving something that's not.
Okay.
Code.
Very good. Well, this was helpful. Hopefully next time I'm in front of you, we either have further, you know, kind of sense for where the board is heading, the zoning board, or a vote potentially. I just wanted to ask my project manager, Rick, if I had missed anything, Rick, that you wanted to ask.
No, nothing at this time.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, board. I know this is a lot to look at, so appreciate the time.
Good luck with your project.
Thanks
Thanks
you.
for presenting it.
Thank you.
25 Dartmouth Road, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
Did I fix it? All right, thank you. Sorry about that. I'm going to share my screen.
And you are, please?
Daniel Michaels, architect, working with Megan and Michael on their project. And so the existing house exists here on the corner of Cornell and Dartmouth. It's a 2-bedroom salt box with a small shed in the backyard, several large oak trees and cedars, and a driveway off of Cornell Road. We are going to be proposing a new addition on the side of the house here that conforms with the setbacks. It's a tricky lot with the double front yard setbacks. All of the existing native trees will remain, as you can see on the plan here. All of this existing evergreen screening, which is already there, we will also preserve. It does a nice job of screening the yard from the neighbors. We are proposing to eliminate the driveway off of Cornell Road and move it over to Dartmouth, creating 2 parking spaces and a path that leads up to the front of the house. And we're proposing a new entry foyer here with a small front porch. And in this addition, there will be a 1st floor bedroom and a den with a master suite on the 2nd floor. We would remove the existing brick terrace that is in the back of the yard, replace it with a bluestone terrace with a cedar pergola that will connect to a 250 square foot accessory structure, which will be a storage shed and a small hangout studio. You can see here, you'll enter with some steps into a front covered porch, into an entry foyer, entering into the dining room, or you can head to the left into a mudroom. We will be flip-flopping the kitchen and den, so move the kitchen over
So
to
the exterior is really where we are
Okay.
aesthetically. Our purview's not really inside.
Sure. So this is the existing front of the salt box. See the central front door with windows surrounding it, and this is the building in the back. So we are proposing the new addition here on the east side. This is the front entry. Entry foyer and covered porch with glass on the facade. And this is the existing side of the house. We'll be removing this bay window, replacing it with a picture window. This is the front porch that we're proposing and the new 2-story addition. Here's the accessory structure with a pergola linking the 2 buildings together. This is the east side of the house. This is the shed we will be removing. The salt box massing will be concealed by the new addition. And this is the shed and studio in the back.
And where are we with the square footage when you're all said and done?
2298.
Thank you.
It's a 1,000 square foot addition. So this is the rear of the house. We have a fireplace chimney that will remain and 2 wooden pairs of French doors. They will also remain. And this is our new 2-story addition and the back of the studio. We meet pyramid on the side and on the rear. You can see here, we'll be maintaining existing grade. And I did complete some renderings here. This is what the house would look like from the street. This is our new 2-story addition on the east side. This is the small studio in the back, and here is our new front porch. From the corner of Dartmouth and Cornell, the salt box massing remains. We replace the existing windows with openings of the same size, going from white to black. And this is our new entry foyer. And this is a view from Cornell. The massing of the salt box remains, our existing French doors with chimney. And this is our new 2-story addition in the back. The existing house has horizontal clapboard left to the weather. We would be maintaining that. And the new addition, to delineate from the old and the new, we would go with vertical cedar clapboard. And on the horizontal 1-story additions, horizontal cedar. And this is a view. I couldn't get a good shot of this side of the house. So this, I don't have it in context, but this is what it would look like if you were coming up Cornell. I think that covers our project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Steve, how do you feel about this new design?
I think it's attractive. I have no questions.
Judith?
I like it. I like the way they've kept the salt box and also added the new spacious area. I think it's well done.
Yeah, 2,300, they've done a lot. Val?
Yeah, I think, the mass is in the backyard. It's a fairly wooded property. So I think the salt box still does a good job presenting itself to the street with the addition, to the rear. And it's integrated pretty nicely. I only had one question on the presentation, and that's why the white doors on the back of the house. But that was it. Otherwise, it looks great.
Bethany?
I agree with what everyone's saying about the salt box, and then with the addition, and I love that it's only going to be 23, I think, right?
Yep.
But I'm not really comfortable with the front entrance. To me, it looks more like a business entrance and not a home, but that's just mine.
I had that gut feeling too, but I think the architect needs to just detail that a little bit better for us so we understand what's really going on.
It might just be the rendering. It's hard to read.
It's sliding doors. It's just, when you look at the salt box, the original one, it's more traditional, and I understand that they're trying not to do traditional here, but it looks more like the back of the house to me than the front. And more of a business entrance.
Mm-hmm.
I very much like the exterior space they've created. I think it's going to be a great space. So you have our comments. Hopefully that was helpful.
Thank you. So what would be our next step? Would we adjust that front entry and re-present it to you?
I think that it seems to be a theme that's running through the majority of the members, that the front door is not clear how you're handling that, and then how you handle the soffit and all the details, so we can really understand aesthetically what's going on with this design.
Okay.
What was it that Val said about white?
There's 2 doors on the back of the house that are they're rendered white. I was just trying to.
Yes, I left them because they're existing, but we can, they're wood, so we can definitely paint them to match everything else.
I wonder if the other windows wouldn't look better being white instead of black. That's up to you.
I think that's the look, Judith, because it's slanted towards a modern design.
Yeah.
And so if that's a remnant or it pays homage to the old salt box, it is what it is. It's on the back of the house.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the woodsy color of everything, and just those 2 doors kind of jumped out. They almost contrast, everything is that dark, tone, but it's a nice looking addition.
So Michael, if you could just take another look at that front door with your clients, I think you're onto something.
Okay.
With our board. Okay, great. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Great. So I'll make that motion to adjourn the meeting of 12/17/2020.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Not me. Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Enjoy